Also der neue 718
Well, when it comes to the new 718 as a Cayman and as a Boxster, I would like to focus on three aspects. First, there is the streamlined, much more precise design that I personally like more than the predecessor. Then, of course, there are the four-cylinder Boxster engines, which are an almost revolutionary step away from the six cylinders used up to now for this series, and which are extremely high performance and high torque and elevate this car's driving dynamics to an entirely new level. At the same time, this car also has been updated with all the communication and infotainment equipment that you need nowadays. The new Porsche communication management, a new online navigation system, Connect modules and Connect Plus modules, making this car truly state-of-the-art. A lot of features have been adopted from the new 911, of course. And one thing that the 718 models have in common with the new 911, as you may notice, in contrast to its own predecessors, is that we no longer draw a distinction between the Boxster and the Cayman, either in terms of performance or visually. Except for a few wheel designs for the Cayman, the two cars are essentially identical. And here we continue the tradition of the 911. For the 911, we never made a distinction between the different body variants in terms of their performance characteristics. Now, we take the same approach here and position both of the cars at a similar price as is done in the 911 series. Now, the coupe, the Cayman, is also a bit less expensive than the open-top Boxster. So we are adopting the same strategy here as for the 911 and are actually more consistent than before. Of course, this model was renamed to use the internal model number in order to establish a brand name that will be accepted by the fan community in a way that identifies this car. And that is exactly the point that was missing from the Boxster and the Cayman, this type designation. After all, the 911 also comes as a coupe and a cabriolet version, and everything is under the 911 umbrella, the 911 brand name. But we were actually missing this brand name for the Boxster and Cayman family, which has, after all, been on the market for 20 years now and is already quite steeped in tradition. And it is partially thanks to these cars which helped Porsche to recover from the crisis back then. So they really deserve to be given a brand name now, and I think it's very appropriate. Today, the Cayman is actually the Porsche for first-time buyers. It is the low-cost entry into the world of sports cars, making it very important. It plays an important role when it comes to driving dynamics as a mid-engine sports car. And now, of course, in this new powerful role, ultimately for really entering the world of sports cars together with the GT4 models, which we still had for the 981 up to the Club Sport version. It demonstrates the full potential of this car in terms of driving dynamics. The Cayman, just like the Boxster, will be available as a Cayman and a Cayman S, the first with the 2-liter 4-cylinder Boxster turbo engine, and the Cayman S with the 2.5-liter engine. Both versions will be available either with the 6-speed manual transmission or the 7-speed PDK transmission. We have picked up on the tradition of the 4-cylinder Boxster engine, including that of the 718, dating from the late 50s and the 1960s, which has a pretty respectable motorsport tradition and has actually demonstrated the classic virtues of Porsche sports cars. That essentially means smaller, a bit lighter, but extremely efficient and very dynamic, which is what the new Boxster and Cayman models demonstrate too, while also taking a step into the future with the incredible powerful four-cylinder Boxer engines. Every time Porsche brings out anything new that deviates from tradition, even if the tradition is only 20 years old, there is an outcry, of course, because people actually love what we've done in the past. But at the same time, we actually always make a great effort to use the most efficient solution, be it for the 911 that now offers turbo engines, or in the 718 models with the four-cylinder Boxer engines that we believe are exactly right for this car. And if you look back at the past, then you can also find parallels for precisely this 718. This is not the first time that this has happened, and now we're picking up on this tradition and continuing it into the future. Of course, we don't just build sports cars so that they are more efficient. A sports car is a sports car after all. It has to be fun. It has to possess driving dynamics. It has to have performance. It has to prove itself in comparison with its competitors. The new 718s are excellent at all of that. These four-cylinder Boxer engines aren't just four-cylinder Boxer engines after all, but are turbocharged. They are turbo engines, and as turbo engines, they have an enormous amount of torque and peak power on tap. And of course, they now give the new Cayman and Boxster models a driving performance potential that puts their predecessors with six cylinders in the shade.